Well, I'm under the hood on the El Camino, and this is you can see actually see an engine on this car because it's a '78, and it's a 350, supposedly out of a Corvette. I don't know. It's a 350 though, and you can tell by the. Actually, I'll tell you the truth. I'll tell you this little trick right now. How do you know it's a 350 or a 305? See the harmonic balancer down there I'm pointing the light on? That actually tells you. It's the thickness of that thing will tell you if it's a 350 or a 305. You know, it's a lot of times people can't figure that out. And a 400's got like a really thick one. I just figured I'd point that out. This is actually a video on the horn don't work on this thing. So I was like driving it, and I never used the horn, so I didn't really know it didn't work. And I was like, somebody's backing out of the driveway, and I'm like, damn, the horn don't work. So you can't stick your head out the window and yell beep beep. So first thing I did, I don't think it's this, but here's the horns right here, right? And they're grounded. They got to be grounded, right? Sometimes they get rusty, but I don't really think that's the problem. So I jumped from the wire, from the battery, the positive, and just touch it over here to the connector. Well, that shit works. So it works. So the horns work themselves. Somehow they're not getting power. It's probably at the horn ring or something, or blown fuse. Thing is to I'm going to check every single fuse on this car, even though everything works, I guess, except for the horn. The lights work, the directionals work, the four-way flashers, the brake lights, and all that garbage. So I don't know what the hell the deal is. It could be a fuse, but it might be just up in the horn ring. So I'm going to pull out each fuse and check it with an ohm meter. So I just pull them out with these needle nose pliers. And it's the right way to check a fuse. Like you see, I got the ohm meter here, right? And you can see that. It says, you know, infinite resistance. It's got a 1, right? And you just touch the other side, and you can see it goes to 0, right? I'm not touching it good. Hold on. 0. So the fuse is good, because a lot of times you can look at these fuses, and trust me, man, it's like if you got a hairline crack in a fuse, you won't notice it. That's why I always check it with the meter, because I found out trying to trace something before, and you won't find it. So I'm going to check all these fuses. It looks like there's a few empty ones in here. I don't know what the hell they're for, but I'm going to put them in there. So I got extra ones, so we'll do that. Well, I got the ohm meter hooked up to the horn button. So, you know, I took off the horn button up there, just a couple screws. And there's a wire that goes in here, and it grounds out. So if you press the horn in, you should look at the gauge. See, works. Press the horn in so the button works. That's not the problem. I don't know, I guess it's a relay probably, who knows. I gotta, you know, trace it, but that's part of the problem right there. I mean, so you know, it doesn't look like it's in the horn ring, so I kind of figured it would be that, but it's not. So probably the relay or some dirty connection somewhere. It's not the ground on the horn, and the horns work, and the button works, and all the fuses are good. So I guess what's left is the relay, or there's a missing fuse. Well, it's not the flasher on there, the relay, so I was checking that, and actually I got some of these old manuals. Here's 78 Chilton's, 71 to 78. I've been doing this shit a while. This was 67 to 74, and I was doing cars back then. So here was like when I got a 81 Dodge 4x4. That was a full dealer service manual, 87 to 91. These are the older ones. I got the newer ones, but if you look at this, this actually is a posi traction from the factory. Originally it was a 273, then it was a 241, now it's a 308. I got a 308 and it's back to posi. And it was a 305. I got a 350 in it now. It's still a 4-speed tilt column, and the two missing what do you call those fuses is one was for AC and the other one was for power windows. So I'm gonna have to check the wiring on this thing. I don't know what the deal is, man. It should be simple, but it's not. And this thing started out in life way back in Downingston, Pennsylvania, and It was built in Doraville, Georgia, and Downington, Pennsylvania is by Westchester, Pennsylvania. It's about 50 miles west of Philadelphia. So I got some history on this car, man. I had this car since '91, and I keep my cars forever, man. I hate new cars with a passion. Oh, I hate them. And if I go buy a new one, it's going to go backwards. I might get a 50 Mercury or some crap someday. Who knows? But this was the actual sheet I found off of it underneath the seats. And, you know, two-tone paint, console, bucket seats. This actually, for an El Camino, I mean, all the ones I see are automatics, bench seats, and, you know, no posi. That's kind of rare from you know, from the factory to see these options. And I'm just keeping it like this, bone stock. It's got Demon carb, a big, nice 2-barrel Demon carb on it. Runs great with the 350. And this thing's seen a lot of hard use. This was actually a commercial vehicle. It started life as a commercial vehicle up in Pennsylvania and New Jersey most of the time. Well, the horn is fixed, and it was actually easy. But there might be a couple things you have to do, so I'm going to point out something in the video. So here it is. All right, works. Anyway, down here, what you might look at is, for one, you got the fuse box here. You got your turn signal flasher and your hazard flasher. This fuse right here I'm pointing to, that one, that's the one for the horn and the courtesy lights. So if the courtesy lights don't work, you probably got a blown fuse. Now, the one question I had was, where the hell is the horn relay on this thing? Because I was wondering if it was broke. It's actually up this way. I don't know if I can point to it exactly. I'll get it in here. Maybe if I got it, I'll see if I'll try to annotate it, but it's actually up under here above the brake. Above the brake. It's a square one. And it's actually not easy to get at. I was surprised. On a really old cars, like the 60s cars, you just pull them, you know, you went ahead and they're under the hood. So I guess they changed that. But the thing you had to do, and actually I wound up not having to do this, but say I pull this off, and what you'll have to do here, let me pull this wire off here real quick, is you'll have to use a steering wheel puller, like so. And how this works is this threads into the two screws on this side, one on this side and one on this side. You got to take this bolt out first though, and then the wheel, and you have to mark this to the wheel, make sure you have it in the right spot so you put the wheel on in the right position. Now I know the old Mopars, they were like notched, so they only went on one way, and the way you would adjust the wheel position was with the tie rod ends, but a Chevy ain't like that. So you would actually screw this, whoops, you would actually screw this in to that hole and that hole, and use the puller to pull out the wheel after you take the bolt out. That's another place you can have a problem too. That's where my problem was. So anyway, that's the fix. And sometimes it's not that simple. The first thing to do is, like, you go ahead and check your horns. Just run a wire from the battery and see if they work. That's the simplest thing. Number 2 is check your fuse. Number 3 is check to see if this horn button is rusted out or something, or not making contact. You know, you could touch this wire right to the ground here, you know, beep, which I don't want to keep beeping this horn. And then you could check from the ground from here to the relay, which is very hard to find actually. It's a bitch, man. I'm surprised. It's if you look at this brake pedal, it's up above it, and it's, you know, it's tucked up in behind there. It's actually not too easy to get at. I was surprised. So that's the deal, and figured I'd post this because I was wondering if it was going to be real simple, but it wasn't that simple. So you might need a steering wheel puller too. You might. I had to use this. So anyway, that's the deal. Yeah, also note how I have the car locked up. Even though I have a car parked in front of this, actually if I take this car out anywhere, I park it someplace for more than 30 minutes, it gets locked up with this around the steering wheel. It goes under the seat. I know you can cut it, but it's a good theft deterrent, actually. Pretty decent.